Here at Synapse FX, we do practical effects, we do atmospheric effects, wind, rain, fog, snow. We also do pyrotechnics, any kind of mechanical engineering effects that's needed.
We also do beauty makeup and hair, so we do ugly gore makeups, and we also make people pretty. So basically anything that involves your hands and physical effects, we do it here at Synapse FX. For Z Nation, we had about a month of prep here in California before we went to Washington. So what that means is we had episode 1, and episode 1, it's the first episode. You want to put everything in it. You want to get people's attention. So there was a lot of gags. So what that meant for us is to try to make all these gags in a very small amount of time. The other factor of not only prepping for episode 1 was how do we take everything we're going to need to Washington so we have it. Because there's not like the beauty supply store and the special effects store in Spokane, Washington. It's not there. So it was a matter of getting a freight truck and taking 3 days to pack the entire shop into the freight truck and shipping it up there and getting up there and taking the tables out and starting to work more on episode 1. This is the exact palette we used for every single zombie. We created the palette so that no two makeups would look different. That way every artist was using the exact same colors and they were all cohesive and matched. So before we went to Washington, we did one camera test down here where we brought our buddy and we did 4 different makeups on him. Like one half of his face was one color, this was a different color, his arms were different colors. And Carl really wanted green, and we just didn't understand, like, why did he want green zombies? So we started making these green palettes. They were looking all right, but they weren't there. He just kept saying, more green, more green. We were like, what the heck, you know? Like, what does he want, the Incredible Hulk? We didn't at first know how to translate it because it didn't look right to our eyes. So we just said, fuck it, let's go green on this. So Corinne came up with this green palette of 6 different colors, and she just did this crazy green makeup. It didn't look right to our eyes, but when we got the footage back, it was like, that's it, you know, and Carl loved it, and he was right the whole time, you know, he totally knew what it was. So doing these makeups and seeing all these green zombies walk around, we're just like, oh. But as soon as you saw them on the monitor, you're like, oh, they look awesome. Yeah. You know, so it was this hard thing to be okay with the makeup you didn't think was good until you actually saw it on the monitor.
Jason McKee, he wanted to do as many of the elements practical as possible so that he can just comp them together. So, you know, the lighting was the same, and he had plenty of elements, you know, a library to choose from. At the Asylum office, you know, speaking to Washington, having this meeting and deciding how are we going to do a lot of these practical effects, there isn't really a whole lot of time. I know that they wanted to cut out a lot of the body hits, and we had decided, well, if you're going to start cutting out a lot of these things because they're time crunchers or time wasters, then we should do a lot of this stuff, you know, all in elements and second unit VFX elements. That became a really good time with Jason because we were able to have, you know, talk one-on-one about what he really needed, and then, you know, we'd go back and make it happen. Day 1, you know, episode 1, and here we got to start with this massive explosion. That was a challenge. I mean, it was first episode had an island explosion, so we did an 85-foot fireball with a lot of sparks for the island.
3, 2, 1, action.
Well, that was successful. There you go. That's how we do an explosion, Synapse style. Synapse break! Episode 2, we blew up a fuel tanker, and they were originally going to cut it. Mike Kelso, Transpo, I asked Mike, you know, he's like, you know, I might have a guy that has a fuel truck. And I said, really? Well, you know, I'll take a part of my budget, you take a part of your budget, and we'll go to the producers and let's see if we can get a fuel tanker that we can blow. Once I took a look at it, you know, and talked to the guys that brought it in and say, hey, you know, is there still fuel in this thing? They said, yeah, there's still a little bit left in there. So it had 5 cells in this fuel truck.
One thing about Joe, not only is he really good at what he does, but he's also extremely safe. And he made sure that it was drained. I mean, he spent days making sure that that truck was prepped, that only the chemicals he wanted in there was what was in there. There would be no surprises. There would be no extra gasoline left. He was meticulous about it.
Kind of at the last minute, the CEO of the location comes up to me and says, hey, so, you know, you're going to be blowing this thing up in front of our structure. And it was this huge multi-million-dollar powder cleaning system. And he says, look, you know, I can't have you torch it. I can't have you ruin anything on this. We got what we call a nail board here. When we set off multiple events of an effect or an explosion, like say, like for the tanker explosion, there was 5 events. So I'd rig up wiring to 5 of these nails, and we have a rest nail here. And this nail board would get plugged into the battery box over here. So we can run either 12 volts or 36 volts. And so this battery box gets connected into our nail board. This is our triggering system. We put it on 5 nails, which is 5 separate elements, and you know, I think there was over 20, 25 gallons of gas in the entire explosion. Yeah, I didn't touch the structure. I think I got a little bit of a corner of the catwalk, and that was about it, but you know, everything went really, really well. It was great.
And 3, 2, 1, action.
The first main challenge was the duration, how long it took to finish 13 episodes. So we're talking 5 months, plus we had a month and a half of pre-prep. When you shoot a feature film, normally with Asylum, it's anywhere from 15 to 20 days, which at the time seems like a long time, but when you shoot something for 5 months, it's a whole nother experience. You're talking 30 days in, there's still not a light at the end of the tunnel.
Even though we go through some stressful times and some very challenging times, you know, the end result is the juice. You know, being on set and making that effect happen for, you know, the split second they're going to use that clip for, you know, to make it happen, get it on camera, and just be proud of something we've accomplished and created. It worked.
What I walked away from Z Nation with is to always give 100%, no matter what. If you're tired, if you're grumpy, if you're pissed, if you're happy, because at the end of the day, the show's going to end, no matter how long it feels. And if you can give your 100% every day, it's going to pay off later on when you're watching the final product. So just always keep pushing and trying hard, no matter if there's not a light at the end of the tunnel, because there is.